Hello. In the words of Perico, welcome, welcome, welcome. Your saltwater guide. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. We got a good one for you today, folks. It's about bait. It's about the bait. That's the theme all the time with me is the bait. And today we're going to talk about the bait some more. But before we get started, a couple of things we got to go over real quick. Pacific Coast Sport Fishing Show. Bill told me to let you know tickets are selling quick, so make sure you get your tickets quick and early for the PCS show at the Orange County Fairgrounds, Pacific Coast Sport Fishing. Go to Pacific Coast Sport Fishing and make sure you get your tickets. I know it's holiday time, and I know there's plenty of people out there that are looking for holiday gifts. Don't forget the Pacific Coast Sport Fishing Festival. Those are great tickets. It's going to sell out. I'm going to be there speaking every day, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We'll be up on the main stage. Also, we'll be over in our booth throughout the day. Kelly Girl and I will be there, and you want to come and check it out. We're going to have the simulator there, so you can check out the PTO fighting grip, the ProTech offshore fighting grip. Plus, we'll have much, much more. We should have some nice giveaways for the kids. So make sure you see us at the PCS show. And then don't forget my website. We still have a phenomenal holiday offer, gang. You get all the bundles and you get a 1-year membership for $200. And that's going to expire tomorrow night. That'll be that. So those of you that sitting on the fence trying to figure out if I should get it, you got till tomorrow night. And then you'll be able to get it on December 1st. That's for sure. We'll still be selling it, but it'll be $300. So I'm just trying to let you know you got another 24, 27 hours, something like that. And then it'll be still available, but it'll be $300 for the holiday special. All right. So we're just giving you a little update so you know, so you don't get upset when you go, hey, Captain Dave, it was $200 and I promised you it was $200, but it isn't $200 after December 1st. So check that out. And then let's go into the bait. Let's talk about the bait, gang. It's Promar Ahi USA Tuesday. We always talk about a Promar product, and nothing's better than talking about Promar products when you're talking about bait. We're talking about bait today. We're talking about how important bait is, and you got to have some bait catching products on your boat. The Sabiki is insane. Almost every boat you go on anywhere in the world is going to have some Sabikis on it because they are definitely going to save your day when you don't have any live bait on your boat. You can pull up to a kelp patty, or you can pull up to the edge of the kelp somewhere, or a pipeline or something, and snag up some mackerel or some hake or some herring or some porgies or whatever you fish with wherever you're at in the world. You're going to need sabikis. Talking to my good buddy Pete, they catch mackerel all over the world with these things. So there's no reason to not have some sabikis on your boat. And then we're going to talk about the bait scoop and how important that is to have on your boat. But again, go to promarahi.com, promarahi.com. You can check out the sabikis. You can check out all the plethora of products they have over there at Promar is going to blow your mind. But 90% of the stuff they got is all about bait. From bait scoops to big giant dip nets like we talked about last week, to these aluminum telescoping bait well scoops. These things are great. It extends out. If you got a boat, a big yacht with a deep bait tank, you're going to need it extended out. And if you have a small boat, you can have it just like this. But this is going to come in handy on your small boats. When you drop something in the water, you can extend it out. So there's never not a time to have one of these aluminum telescoping bait well nets. These are made and sold by Promar Ahi. You go over to their website, you can see these over there. But listen, the reason why I'm talking about these today is because it's imperative that you have at least 2 of these on the boat. I can't even tell you how many times I've been out on someone's boat and one of their buddies drops the bait scoop over, or even I have dropped the bait scoop over before, and I'm sure some of you have too. When you drop the bait scoop over, it's horrible, but you should have a spare bait scoop on the boat. You should never go out with one, but I've seen it more than I can even count how many times I've been out on boats where they have one and they lose it over the side or someone breaks it. So you want to have more than one bait scoop. I have 2, 3, 4, 6 on most of the yachts I run because I know what can happen when you lose your bait scoop. Then you're in this bait tank trying to catch your bait with your hands. And that's almost impossible. And you don't want to, and that's usually when you find the big school of tuna or a bunch of yellowtail show up or big sea bass and you can't get a bait out of the bait tank because you broke your bait scoop. So make sure you have at least a backup bait scoop on your boat. And there's no better place to get them than over at ProMart. You can get them delivered straight to your house. Get a handful of them. There's never not a time to have these things on your boat. There's not. And the telescoping aluminum handle is phenomenal for so many different things. Just the fact that, hey, I just dropped my hat over the side. Whoop, you pull this out, scoop it right out of the water. Put it back in here, use it as a bait scoop in your bait tank. These things are phenomenal to have on the boat, gang, and you got to have some of them. The nice thing about this is the way that the net fits inside the frame. The net's inside the frame. A lot of nets I see, the net is on the outside of the frame. Every time you dig in the bottom of the tank, you're tearing the edges of it up. These are clean. These work phenomenal. You're going to love this. Check it out. Go to the website, promarahi.com, and check out these bitchin' telescopic aluminum bait dip nets, bait well nets. Check them out and make sure you get it with the net inside the frame. It's going to matter. It matters a lot. It's going to matter. All right. So let's go talking about bait some more. Something that's super important. And we didn't talk about it on the last show. We talked about bait. And I was thinking today would be a good day to talk about this, gang. If you're out on your boat and you have dead bait in your bait tank, if the bait in your bait tank, if there's dead bait in there and you have live bait in there, that dead bait will start to kill your live bait. It actually gives out a toxin in the water and it will actually kill your live bait. So there's never a time to have dead bait floating around your bait tank. Also, another thing that's really important, look in your bait tank, and if you see just a phenomenal amount of scales floating around in your bait tank, it's time to drain the water a little bit, pull the plug a little bit, let some of that water out. That'll suck those scales out. That'll clean up the water. That'll make it easier for your bait to swim and breathe. The bait has to be able to process the water through their gills. And if there's a bunch of scales in there, they can't process the water through their gills. It's going to cause them to die. And then back to the bait system. Listen, gang, we have a lot of people that are new. We have a lot of people that have been on listening to me for years. Your bait pump has got to have constant flow going, but it cannot have any bubbles. My good friend Jack Webster, he summed this up for bubbles are like fentanyl to bait. Bubbles are like fentanyl to sardines and anchovies. It plugs their gills. If you have a lot of little gills, a lot of little bubbles in your bait system when the water's flowing and you see a lot of bubbles and it's causing foam in your bait tank, it's killing your bait, gang. They cannot process those air bubbles. Listen, it's not an aquarium. Okay? So you don't want to aerate your bait. All right? And we're talking about sardines, anchovies, squid. We're talking about West Coast. I don't know with your tilapia and stuff like that back east. I'm not telling you that. If that works for you, great. But it doesn't work on the West Coast. Bubbles are like fentanyl in your bait system. How do I know if my bait system's causing bubbles? What you need to do is don't put any bait in there. Turn the bait pump on. Let it fill up and stand there and look in your tank. If you can't see, like I can't see, put on your glasses and look. And if you see a bunch of little bubbles in there, you got a problem. What could the problem be, Captain? There's going to be a crack or there's going to be some type of an air leak coming in between your pump and your tank. It's somewhere between the pump and the tank. There could be an air leak, could be a crack in one of the hoses, could be a crack in one of the fittings. Also, when you're running, if you have a through hole, if your bait system actually goes through a hole in the bottom of your boat, which most do and the best do. If your hole is somewhere in the hole going through the hole is somewhere near something that creates air, that's going to cause air also. You want to make sure when you put that hole in the bottom of your boat, you're putting it in the cleanest water you possibly can. You want it on the flattest surface of your hull where it's got the least amount of angle, if you will. The flattest part of your hole when you go to drill that hole to put your through hole in to get your bait system going. You want to make sure that it's not any way, shape, or form going to cause any air to go into your bait system. You can't even comprehend how fast that's going to kill all your bait. Perfect example, I was on that Aquila, that big 125-foot sport fisher that we fished the War Heroes on water in. And one side of the bait system, before we even put bait in the tank, was making bubbles. And I could see all the bubbles. And the other side was not making bubbles. And it was the same bait pump supplying both tanks, but it had a Y and it split. And then it went to the two tanks. Somewhere in that Y, or somewhere on those the rest of the line, once it left the bait pump and went into the Y, that's where that airlock was, our air was coming from. And I told the guys before we started loading the bait. So I put most of the bait in the port tank because the port side bait tank, that's your left side of your boat, did not have air in the tank. And the starboard side had that air bubbles. We put the most dynamite bait you could possibly get down in San Diego from the Everingham brothers from the San Diego bait barge. Beautiful little firecracker sardines. Super cured out bait. Put 15 scoops in the port tank and 10 scoops in the starboard tank. By the time we got to Newport, most of the bait in the starboard tank was dead. You couldn't kill the bait on the port side with a hammer. That stuff was so good. But it was about the bait system, gang. And that's what I keep trying to pound into your heads when we're talking about you getting on the boards, or you getting on Bloody Decks or All Coast, or wherever you're going to post all the baloney you like to post, or on Facebook or Instagram or TikTok, and you complain about the bait company. 99.999% of the time, it's your bait system. And air is not good. And I know a lot of you are sitting there listening to me right now going, oh, shoot, we got air coming out of our system. Yeah, that's why your bait dies. It's no bueno. It's just, you got to figure it out. You got to go through the system. And now is a great time to figure this out. With what's going on now, it's kind of the slow time of year. You're going to be out fishing the artificial reef. You're going to be fishing for the most impressive bait system. I've seen a ton of really good bait systems. The ones that flow in a direction so the bait can swim against it, and the tank is clean with no clutter inside of it, just free-flowing water going in and going out. That's the best systems. Randy at Blue Water makes a great bait system, and Mark at Pacific Edge. Those are the two go-to guys here in Southern California. Blue Water and Pacific Edge, that's where you're going to get your best bait system. Neither one of those guys are going to let you down. They are super, super busy. They are super, super busy. The bait pump doesn't matter. Everybody's got a different type of bait pump system. On the bigger boats, we use a swimming pool pump with a 1.5 horsepower type of system where you reduce the water a little bit, reduce the flow, but it has to fill up between 7 and 8 minutes. If it fills up 9 minutes, that's too slow. If it fills up in 6.5 minutes, that's too fast. Too much flow, filling up too fast will kill your bait. Too slow will kill your bait. Why? If it fills up too fast, the bait doesn't have a chance to swim against the current. It's getting actually slammed all over the bait tank, and it's ripping all the scales off. If it fills up too slow, there's not enough oxygen in the water for the bait to stay alive. So that key is 7 to 8 minutes. 8 minutes being the very best. 7 minutes is tolerable. After 8 minutes, no bueno. If it takes 8.5 minutes, it's going to kill your bait. It's going to suck. If it takes 6.5 minutes, it's going to kill your bait, and it's going to suck. And it matters. It matters so much. And now is the time to figure it out. We don't have a billion Dorado here. We don't have a billion Yellowtail here. We don't have bluefin eating the mussels off the dock. You actually got to go way offshore right now to catch a bluefin. So I would say now's the best time while you're fishing the artificial reefs or you're fishing lobsters. Play with your bait system. Start checking it out. Drain that tank. Get it empty. Put the plug in. Turn your watch on. Stopwatch on and see how long it takes to fill up. Set your alarm for 8 minutes. Watch your tank. If it's not full in 8 minutes, you might want to, maybe it's your bait pump's not working that well. Also, you can put a ball valve in the system from the bait pump, between the bait pump and the bait tank. Don't put the ball valve between the tank and the ocean. Put the ball valve between the pump and the tank. That way it can still suck enough water out of the ocean. You don't want it to not suck enough, but it can, between the tank and the pump, that's the best place because now the pump's still getting plenty of water to stay nice and cool. And then you can reduce or add to the flow with the ball valve. That's what I would suggest doing this time of year. You got plenty of time while we wait for all the fish to show up. Then the last thing I would say is before you guys fill up your bait system to go fishing, especially after the season, and I'll get off here in a minute, but any boat I get on, the first thing I do is I fill the bait tank all the way up to the top, then I drain all the water. I turn the pump off, I drain all the water out. Then I fill it, put it plug back in, fill it all the way up to the top, then drain all the water out. I want to rinse that tank out because I don't know if your sister's brother's cousin put some soap in there or your aunt's uncle's brother put some bleach in there, or if you have some old sanding dust from when you were painting the bait tank or anything that could compromise my bait. I am going to fill the tank up at least twice and empty it all the way out at least twice. And get all the old scales and fish guts and crap that I can't even believe you all leave laying in there. Nothing's more important to me than the bait system. My bait tank was crystal clean all the time. I need to know what was going on. I needed to know all the time. I always was constantly timing the flow in between trips, making sure that it was working good and my bait pump was working good. I always have a spare bait pump on the boat. Super important. That is super important with a quick take apart. Make the electrical cord, the electrical wires plug and play so you can just pull them off and put the new pump on and let her rip. Because, man, when you lose your bait pump and you're 50, 60 miles off the beach and you find wide open yellowtail or wide open tuna, and that bait pump quits working, it sucks. All right, gang. So that's our thing about bait. Don't forget the Pacific Coast Sport Fishing Festival. Go over there and get your tickets. Don't forget your saltwater guide. I got a great holiday special that's going to end tomorrow night. And then it's going to jump. We're still going to have a holiday special. But after December 1st, you're only going to save a couple $100. It's going to go to $300. If you get it today or tomorrow, you're still going to get it for $200. So what's the best way to get it? Call me, 949-374-0786. Call me, and I'll get you all dialed in and set up for a phenomenal holiday. And if you have friends or family members that want this, you want to get it for them, call me up. We'll make it so that on Christmas morning, they got a membership. I will take care of you. All right, I promise. So the Pacific Coast Sport Fishing Festival is the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th of March, 2023. I will be there. I'll see you there. ProMarAhi.com for your bait scoops, your bait nets, your telescopic bait net, your sabikis. All this stuff matters. I'd get stocked up now. I don't know if you see what's going on across the ocean, but we're going to have another supply chain big meltdown here. I don't know if you see what's going on across the world, but I would get what I could get now because prices are going to go up on everything again, and it's going to be, there ain't going to be anything again. I don't know if you know, but it's not good. So I'm just suggesting, I don't care if you buy it now or you buy it later. I don't care. I'm just trying to help you. I guarantee you, by the time the fish start biting, everything's going to be way more expensive than it is right now. That's just the way it looks. Coming from a guy who's been fishing for a living for 48 years, I've seen these trends, and what we're seeing right now is not going to be good for us. So get it while it's hot. Get it while it's good, while they still have stuff, because they're not going to have stuff here in a couple months. Your saltwater guide, I will be here for you tomorrow. Check out all my bitchin' videos. Go over there again. Sprinkle some stars. Sprinkle some tips. Sprinkle some badges. Let me know that you enjoy my stuff. We were sprinkling badges and tips and stars all over my stuff for the longest time, and then everybody just stopped. I don't know why. Do you not appreciate my stuff? We got, I don't know, 9 million views here the month of November on Facebook alone. Crazy, crazy, crazy. Thank you, everybody. I'll see you tomorrow. Have a great day. Be kind to each other. Turn off the news. They're all lying.